you wake up, it's change, and you must understand that you will never get yesterday back. So every day is change, and how are you going to deal with it is how you make it.
There's so many things happening in the community. Change is good, but there's certain things that need to remain. That keeps the neighborhood the same, even with all the change going on.
Well, the main thing that we specialize in was the weddings. And we had a lot of beautiful weddings here, and we even was able to use the park for many, many years. And you know, a lot of things in the park have changed. So you have to get permits and everything else in order to use the park now.
Well, there is major development, so there is definitely going to be change. And I think one of the responsibilities that we have is that we make sure that we optimize the opportunities, prevent a situation where the community becomes a victim of change.
I spent my whole life here. I move about a house with my parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters. I can only put things in very few words, and I would say that there's no place in the world I'd rather be.
I can remember as a little girl coming to the park and just enjoying the park to the utmost. Everything, we did everything in the park. We also explored the park, and we found so many, I love rocks, so we found so many different color rocks, bugs, worms. As children, you just had that great freedom in this community because we didn't have the violence. Everyone was a big family.
Yes, indeed, the park was a playground for us. It was a place, it was a safe place. You could send the children in the park and you knew they would be safe. The only hazard was crossing the street. You go out there and it was exploring. It went on forever for a child.
As a child in the winter, we were here before the Man Music Center was here. Since I was the baby of the family, my nephews would put me on the sled and just tell me, slide baby, slide. And at first it was frightening because it was so high up, but it was such a great, I just squealed all the way down.
The Mann Center for the Performing Arts has a $13 million expansion program that's going on now. And I think in one particular instance, when the Mann Center was being built, and there was a period of time whereby they were planning to actually concrete over the green area of the park that is between Parkside Avenue and the Mann Center.
They wanted to use the park as a parking lot and they wanted to take all the grass up. The community stopped it.
The residents came out and actually sat in the park to prevent the bulldozers from tearing up the green.
Over the years, they still have used it as a parking lot, but they left the grass there, but now they promised that after this year that there would no longer be parking. You know, when I first came here, I remember there were hedges running down the entire length of the park. There used to be tulips growing in the middle of the grass and whatnot. The park was really maintained very well. When you stay in a certain place, you see things change, and change is expected.
It's a community that changed from European to African American in the 1950s. And during that period of time, there has been a lot of challenges and struggles that the African American community has had to go through. And so there has been drugs, there has been violence, there has been blight, but there have been really bright spots and really beautiful things and people who have stayed here.
I was a part of this community when it was very, very beautiful. And I fought the drug dealers on my block to rid my block of the dealings, the prostitution, along with my neighbors. And so I felt that I deserved to have the right to be here when it's beautiful again. Not long ago, a little over a year ago, I received a notice in my door stating that I had to move because my home was being torn down. There were plans made for a shopping center to enter our community. And I think it's good progress because to me that means many jobs.
A community in the midst of major development, we are now faced with a large retail center which will house the Lowe's Home Improvement, a ShopRite, and things which are positive elements for the community. However, in the process of doing that, there were 22 families displaced because their homes had to be, will have to be torn down in order to make that retail center possible.
So I wanted to know, where am I going to live? Where am I going to go with my children? What am I going to do? In my community, there were homes being developed. So I wanted to know why I couldn't have one. So I fought for one of the beautiful homes. I thank God that I've been assigned to one of the beautiful newly renovated homes behind me, where it will allow me the opportunity to continue to raise children and to continue to keep my family together in this beautiful, beautiful community.
One morning I was on my way to school and I noticed the building what now housed cornucopia. I said, my, that's an old building. I wonder what could I do with that. So I spoke to some of my co-workers and I said, you know what? I'm going to open up a catering business. I said, really? And where are you going to find that building? On Parkside Avenue. A lot of the groups, once I had finished, would have their meetings, which started a good relationship.
As a child, I watched the elders gather. Quite a few of them attended functions at the cornucopia. They would get so dressed up. I wanted to know what's going on, where they're going. They would be so happy. And so later, I found that they were going to the cornucopia and just enjoying weddings, birthday parties, all sorts of events.
The young people can come here for their affairs, and they're not that far from home. A lot of the churches can come here also and use the facilities even for service. During the years, we have had at least 14 different churches to start here. So that really made me feel proud of being able to have the building here so that I could help the religious part of the city and the political part of the city and the social part of the city.
In 1981, as I was working as managing director of the Germantown Theater Guild, and I was approached by someone who had an office here at the cornucopia, asking me would I be interested in starting a dinner theater. I came out and I met with Mr. Lockings, and from 81 to 1986 actually had the Copia Dinner Theater. Now the Copia Dinner Theater was unique in that it was the only dinner theater around serving a black audience.
My name is Ronnie Long. I grew up actually right down the street on Parkside Avenue. My childhood cornucopia, so I started coming to the cornucopia and I was like 12 years old. And I'll never forget the first time Mr. Lockins actually met him. I was hooky in school in the bathroom, and he came in and caught me, you know, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be in school. Go to school. And he always stressed education, so ever since then, you know, I just been hanging around, and I used to hang in here so much, they said, we gotta get this guy a job. So I actually started working as a stagehand in 1987. I would come around here and just, you know, stagehand, you know, help out, little everything. And finally, Miss Cecilia said, we won't put you in the play. Because they knew that I did comedy, and I always was, you know, imitating the cast and imitating Mr. Lockins, and they actually put me in the play. So the first play I did was called Uncle Rufus. I played Rex, and I'll never forget the opening night. My mind just went blank, forgot everything, and it was a memorable moment. So I just kind of improvised it, and everything worked out, you know. But that was kind of my first encounter with the cornucopia.
Well, the cornucopia and the complex of the two buildings have become a community landmark. The cornucopia started in 1976, so that it has been here serving the community and the region for the last 30 years. Mr. Lockings made available the space for things that were happening in the community. Well, the center was formed in 2001 with the observation that still there were a lot of voids in the community when it came to programs and especially opportunities for children and youth. It made sense to have a cultural center, but also a center that provided community support programs. So we started by actually presenting musicians, emerging and both professional musicians in concert at the cornucopia. And following that, we started our summer camp for children and youth.
Culture and Opportunity Center has been a great asset to my children. The theater program has helped them to work through heartaches, to jump over hurdles that they were up against. The art program, the martial arts.
The center has expanded its programs. We have a GED and tutoring for adults. We have a new computer lab, so we have computer classes. We got involved in creating a children's garden at 51st and Parkside. So we continue that respect and value that we see in the environment and with Fairmount Park, which is our neighbor. Development is, and the change is going to happen. And there are a lot of positives, but there are also a lot of challenges and potential threats. So I really feel that the center, the West Park Cultural Center, has a responsibility to make sure that community is an integral part. So we will be looking to partner with the various institutions and larger institutions that are either expanding or relocating here in the area.
The School of the Future is actually one of 28 new high school projects. Clearly, our priority is to have the immediate community involved in partnering with the school. About 75% of the children will come from the West Philadelphia region. 25% of the children who attend the school will be drawn citywide. The school will not be select enrollment. The school will take children who graduate 8th grade. We agreed with Microsoft that if this was going to be truly a unique school, a school of the future, we wanted to show how the effective use of technology and the effective use of modern business practices could create an extraordinary learning environment. We really view this school as rapidly becoming a model for the nation.
Well, because this area, and now it's called the Centennial District, and the city has big plans to make this a major destination, we have to make sure that community is a part of this. However, those who do come in from the outside, and we expect not only locally and regionally, but nationally and internationally, that they will have a place to come and actually learn about community and our community culture. So the importance of the center is that we really preserve community culture and that we do have a place for local artists to come.
Along with the beautiful changes in our community, my concerns are that we will not lose the beautiful park to concrete, because people want to come in and build, but what will our children have left? I understand they're going to have walks and things here, but don't destroy the beauty that we have. I pray that our children and the children and children, their children, will have the great opportunities that I've had growing up in this community.
No, you can't. No, we can't.